Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's get going. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us on this Wednesday in February for a very unique webinar on how to run Op36 and PGA Junior League together. This has been, on our end, on the Op36 side, the most popular question that's asked by current coaches and also by prospective coaches who already run one of these is, how do I do them together? And this is an awesome opportunity to bring in Frank Maynard, who's run Junior League for many years. We'll go over his bio here shortly. And him and I will tag team this webinar and try to open everybody's eyes to the possibility of doing them together, but also share with you what are some things to be aware of for this year for Junior League and also Op36. So even if you don't decide to run them together, at least this is a productive webinar that you can hear some of the updates from Frank's end and some of the updates from our end on the Op36 side. So without further ado, we'll get going. I'll kind of go through a bio of Frank and a little bio on myself and then go over the agenda. But Frank, anything you wanted to maybe touch on before we started at all?
Ryan, I appreciate you having me, and looking forward to talking about these two programs and how they can work together and grow golfers and get boys and girls out there on the golf course. And looking forward to getting some questions at the end and just chatting about it.
That's right. Perfect, Frank. And yeah, we'll have a Q&A time at the end of this when Frank and I get done. And if you have questions, you can put them in the chat and we'll go through them at the end and be happy to help you. We'll put our contact information as well if you want to reach out to us after the fact, and we can answer those as well. But a quick bio on Frank. He's now the player engagement consultant for the PGA of America for the Carolina section, I believe, and also Tennessee. Frank has run Junior League for many, many years. He's a 19-year PGA member, most recently the head pro at UNC Findlay in Chapel Hill, which we see the logo, Frank, there in the bottom left. You are definitely a Tar Heel fan. Your teams are in blue. I would assume that you guys chose blue as your home uniform, or no?
Well, we had an in-house league, so I let the kids sort of wear whatever color they wanted to whenever they wanted to. There was some angst between the parents, or amongst the parents, about the kids wearing the wrong jersey. So every day was a camouflage day. They could wear blue or orange.
Oh, okay, so you were all in-house. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Last couple of years we were in-house, yeah.
Okay, so Frank ran them for 8 years. He had over 175 participants, one of the strongest programs in the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area. I first met Frank last year, I believe, officially at the All-Star event at Pine Hollow with Johnny Scott and Frank and I's team. Unfortunately, we didn't make it to the next round, but we really had a good time there with our All-Star teams. But continuing on with the bio for Frank, he was the 2019 Player Development Award winner for the Carolina section, the 2022 Youth Player Development Award winner in the Carolina section. And this is a pretty cool story. I think those that are listening would appreciate hearing. Frank played 126 holes in one day. Took him 14 hours, and he raised 14 grand for Folds of Honor. That's a lot of holes. Did you put your feet up afterwards, or what was that like?
My feet were a little tired, but surprisingly, it was a great day. We had a beautiful weather day in June here in the Carolinas, and I played all 7 tee markers at UNC Findlay. So from all the way up to the family tees, which our junior leaguers play, which there was a lot of hedging from them, what I would score, back to the Tar Heel tees. So I got a chance to play all 7 different tee markers and made a couple birdies along the way.
That's very cool. Very cool. I haven't come close to that in terms of playing that many holes. Frank has a family here in North Carolina. He's got 2 kids, Lainey, who's 14, who's on the high school golf team, Finn, who's 2.5. So that keeps Frank up at night. And then his wife, Sarah, and as we mentioned, he is a devout Tar Heels fan. Just a couple things on my end, just for those of you that are jumping in on the Junior League side. I'm the co-founder of Op36. I was trying to do the math, Frank. I think I'm the same as you. 19. I got it in 2004. I think I got my PGA membership. So I think that's 19 years. I can't.
Yeah, I was January of 2004.
Okay, so we were the same year. Okay. I was an educator at Campbell University, really enjoyed that for a while to help students get through the PGM program. And now I spend most of my time training other coaches in Op36 and also coaching. I really enjoy coaching kids. I have a handful of my own, but I really enjoy helping kids learn through the game of golf. And I've been doing that since 2006, been training coaches since 2015 on how to run programs at their facility. I was fortunate enough in 2013 to get the Youth Player Development Award here in the Carolinas. and then recently Golf Digest best teacher in state. And I haven't run Junior League as much as Frank. Frank's got a wealth of knowledge on this, so I'm looking forward to learning as well. We ran it originally in 2012 or 2013. I can't remember exactly when. And it was fairly successful when we did run it. We just didn't continue it here at Keith Hills. And then we ran it again last year in 2022, a 13U team, and we had an absolute blast. We had so much fun traveling around to the different courses, having the uniforms and the whole deal, meeting Frank at Pine Hollow. And that was certainly a lot of fun. I have three kids I do R&D with at home all the time, Eli, Adeline, and TR. And then I have my wife, Melissa, that lives with me here in North Carolina as well. And I'm a Spartans fan, Big Ten fan. We always end up playing Chapel Hill at the beginning of the year. I think we played you guys on a aircraft carrier this year. Wasn't that right?
Back in, I think that was 11-11-11, if I remember correctly.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. So jumping right in, hopefully that was helpful to hear a little bit of background on Frank, myself, on how we can help you. There's one question in Q&A. I'm not sure if Frank's video is available. Yep, Amy, we tried every button we could find to get Frank's video going, but maybe you can find a button on your end. Amy's on our marketing team. It says everything's a go on his side. Amy, I just can't get that to work. Okay, sure. So the main objective today is to share how to use Op36 and Junior League Together, a fairly simple agenda. Frank's going to spend a few minutes on Junior League. I'll spend a few minutes on Op36. We'll talk a little bit about how to use them together. And then we'll do some Q&A with attendees afterwards. So I am going to turn it over to Frank. And maybe, Frank, if you can just spend a few minutes, we've got a couple slides that you submitted to me, and you just let me know when you want me to go to the next one on sharing what Junior League is, if there's anybody here that doesn't know what Junior League is.
Sure. Great. Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I mean, Junior League is for a lot of people that do know about it. It's a great program, excellent opportunity for the boys and girls to get on the golf course. The 13 and under division, or 13U as we call it. Boys and girls, there's really no minimum age, up to 13 years old, and trying to get them out there on the golf course. They're playing 2-person scramble event. And then a few years ago, the PGA went with a 17U program with junior golfers that are a little bit older. And then again, the thought there was a lot of players, and it was in my case, and I'm sure it is that with other folks that have run programs in the past, your 13Uers get to be a certain age and they sort of age out, and we want to keep the game and engage the players engaged and get them out there on the golf course. So that's why they have a separate division now. But it's a great opportunity. Those boys and girls wear number jerseys in the orange and blue colors and get on the golf course. PGA Junior League saw a record number of participants last year, over 70,000. Here in the Carolinas, we saw over 3,000, which is a great number. The Carolinas ranks in the top 5 annually, or of the 41 sections in the country. So always looking to try and get more players, but it is a strong section as far as the number of participants. But the boys or girls are playing a 2-person captain's choice scramble in a 9-hole segment. We call flags every 3 holes. So a great opportunity. They're not playing their own ball. They're not trying to hole out every shot. Great camaraderie. A lot of people will liken it to a Little League for golf. So an opportunity for those boys and girls to get out there, play different tee markers. And on the local level is a great opportunity for the golf professional or the coach to mix it up and play different tee markers based on age and gender and ability. So a lot of flexibility there. And then I also want to bring up the postseason. So that's where you and I met recently in the last couple of years, but there's a great opportunity to advance to the postseason. Here in the Carolinas, we've got 4 postseason qualifiers. We've got a section championship, which this year will be at Longleaf down in the Pinehurst area, and then on to the regional championship. And then for the first time this year, the Junior League National Championship will be at PGA Frisco this fall, which will be great. The last number of years it's been at Greyhawk. We're fortunate to have the reigning national champion in the section, Brent Renaud from the Charlotte area. I don't know him personally, but his program has been well received and high regarded over the last couple of years. And they were able to win the national championship last year, which is televised on ESPN, which is really neat. So I know everyone at the headquarters down at PGA is excited to have the national championship in Frisco this October. And then this year, for the first time, there will be a 17U national championship as well. Previously, there's been a postseason, but not a national championship. So this year, we're excited about that. The dates and location of that will be finalized shortly, but not done yet. So it's a unique opportunity to have a local level with some fun. A lot of people that maybe are just picking up the game, maybe new to the game, getting on the golf course. Thank you very much for the slide there. And then it goes all the way to the postseason. It's a national championship. This is the map here that Mia from our Carolinas PGA section had made up. It's a great looking slide. And this is our section. Other sections in the country, the timelines might be a little bit different based on where they are and how the section and the player engagement consultant works together. But it all sort of goes towards the end of the year with the postseason and the national championship. And I do want to say real quickly, Ryan, that some teams don't participate in the postseason. They don't have a desire to. Maybe they're in a rural area and they don't want to travel that far in the section. But it's a great opportunity if someone wanted to. But it's part of the component. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Can you, Frank, can you touch on, just because you have a vast experience in junior league? Junior league sometimes is kids' first opportunity to compete, and there's a lot of information that is helpful for us as golf professionals and PGA.coach on ADM, which is doing the right thing at the right time for the kids. I always like to say, you don't have a 5-year-old deadlifting 5,000 pounds. Like, you don't have him lifting weights. You wait until the right time to do the right thing. Competition sometimes is a hot topic. So maybe if you could share why the format of junior league is so healthy for them to just dip their toe in the water in competition, maybe for the first time, just because you have such a lot of experience in that.
Sure. That's a good question, comment. Yeah, the ADM model through PGA Coach is great. If you're a PGA professional or LPGA professional and haven't had a chance to take a look at that, I would highly encourage you to do so. Some great training on there. The training module's a couple hours. You don't have to do it in one sitting, but it's got some great, as you said, sequencing for age-appropriate golf experiences. So yeah, a 5-year-old not deadlifting a lot of weight. I don't need to be deadlifting a lot of weight either, but yeah, it's got a great timeline there for what you can do. A good example of that would be the All-Star or the postseason. You've got to be 10 years old now to be considered for the postseason. And like you said, I mean, in my experience as a coach, I've had upwards of 40, upwards of 60 players on my teams throughout a season. And some of the golfers were new, some of them were very experienced. And you've got some kids that are anywhere from 6 all the way up to 17 years old. So as you said, that ADM model really does give some great guidance, even for an experienced coach, a PGA or LPGA professional, or someone who is maybe starting out and hasn't run PGA Junior League before, and or just to complement their teaching profile and what they're looking to do.
Okay, perfect. Hopefully that was helpful for the audience on Junior League and kind of bringing it full circle on that calendar, which is, as you said, Frank, a really good visual for us to see as coaches on when we need to be registering and having it open. We just opened our registration at Keith Hills last week and we're full already. I told you that yesterday. We have a waiting list already for our Junior League team at Keith Hills. So if you haven't registered for Junior League yet, we're going to show you how you can register at the end of this, but the PGA does a wonderful job of marketing this and bringing folks to your facility that typically, if you're a public facility, you wouldn't normally get at your facility. So we use it as a great marketing tool to bring people to our facility that we wouldn't normally get. So Junior League is a great avenue for that. I appreciate Frank going through that. On the Op 36 side, just very briefly, Op 36 is for beginner golfers. It's a development program to take students that have never held a golf club before and get them to a point where they fall in love with the game of golf. And to explain how it works pretty simply is on the bottom, that's kind of our development model. Is you start close to the hole, 25 yards away. You play 9 holes and your goal is to shoot 36 or better with your coach in a 9-hole event. Now, you're not traveling around to different courses, which is a lot of fun, and that's what Junior League does. This is more at your local facility. You just keep playing you keep playing it over and over again. And once you beat 25 at level 1, then you go to level 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to level 10. Golfers work through classes attended at the facility, where they work through a curriculum to help them beat those yardages. They play in the 9-hole events in the second area. And then just like Junior League, we have an app for coaches to run their business, to register. And also we're having in-app payments are coming here shortly, along with coaches being able to track the progress of the students through the different levels, which is pretty powerful. From a scheduling standpoint, just so folks are aware, Op36 is typically delivered in a monthly program. We're going to go over some scheduling here in a little bit. Frank and I are going to go through and show folks how you would do them together at the same time, because that's the biggest question we get. But typically Op36 is classes during the week. Like maybe you might have a class on Tuesday and then you have a 9-hole event on that Saturday. And you might play in 8 classes. I'm sorry, you play in 8 or you go to 8 classes during a 2-month period of time, and then you have 4 9-hole events during those 2 months. And some facilities run a month out of the year, some run 12 months out of the year. And the typical charges at the bottom, 300 to 420 for an 8-week program. And then a coach will make between 150 and 360 an hour when they're coaching. So that hopefully is a brief overview of Junior League, a brief overview of Op36. And now Frank and I are going to try to dive into how would you potentially communicate this? Because that's the hardest part in this whole process. How would you communicate this to your family so they're not confused? And one of the ways we found that's very helpful to do this is if somebody comes to your facility and they're a complete beginner, we guide them into, well, you're in the learn to play phase. So let's learn how to play the game of golf. You'll go on the course here locally. And then when you get your skills up to a certain point, we would love for you to participate in the next step, which is PGA Junior League, which is learn to compete. And I think last year on my team, it was really cool to see that most of our players had already played before, which was helpful for me as a coach. So I didn't have to spend a lot of time with maybe the beginners, and I spent more time with those that have played before. And I don't know, Frank, you've had that experience where you've had so many teams. Did you have some teams where you had more better players and it was a certain experience versus where you had more beginners? We haven't talked about this. I was just kind of picking your brain.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a good observation. I mean, depending on the number of players you have, you could have one team of 8 to 12 players and the skill might be relatively similar. For me last year with 41 players across 6 different teams with 13 and 17U, I had a large percentage that had played a little bit of golf or experienced a little bit of golf, but still maybe hadn't had a lot of time on the golf course, which is really the unique and excellent fun part of this Junior League is to get them on the golf course. They light up. The parents enjoy having them out there. But then I also had a handful of juniors that had never really played very much or put their hands on the golf club more than just a couple times. So like you're incorporating there, Op36, as well as other programs that golf professionals tell me daily that they utilize. As you said, it's not one or the other. I see PGA Junior League, Operation 36. You can utilize these programs together, as well as others to get them on the golf course, to get them practicing, to get them playing, and to create that fun atmosphere.
So you had 40 kids in your Junior League, is that what you said?
41. Yeah, 41 last year. Yeah.
Did you do that all by yourself or did you have help?
I had a couple of assistant coaches. One was PGA, one was not. And that's the neat thing about PGA Junior League is you need to have a PGA or LPGA coach, and then you can invite as many assistant coaches as you want. They do the background screening and the abuse prevention training as well. But it could be, a part-time staff member at your facility. It could be a parent. It could be a member at your club, and they could help with some of the maybe coaching duties. I was fortunate that I had a PGA staff member as well as a non-PGA staff member who helped out and really did a lot of the assistance during the practices and assisted me. And then during the matches, I did all the admin work, the weekly communication with them. But we had a weekly practice, and then we had a match every other weekend pretty much we had a 10-week season. That's what I planned it out as. And So I've had longer seasons and I've had shorter seasons. It just depends on how things flow out. And the one thing I will add, Ryan, is, nowadays people are telling me the golf course access is challenging, right? To get on the golf course. It's not like the mid 2010s when the golf courses were much more open. So you got to be creative, and you've got to, talk to if you're not the head golf professional, talk to the head golf professional, director of golf, or the people at your facility that are looking to make those decisions. And getting the juniors on the golf course is a great opportunity for them, and it's going to pay dividends down the road. And just trying to find a time later in the day, an off day of the week, that they can get out there and play the golf course.
Okay, perfect. And then what we did create to help communicate to our families where ADM fits in, where PGA Junior League fits in, where Drive, Chip, and Putt fits in, where PGA, there's just so many programs. And I know, Frank, you're on the phone with coaches all the time. We are as well. Like, where do I use ADM? When do I send them to US Kids Tour? When do I send them to PGA Junior League? We ultimately had to create almost like a stair step graphic for the parents, just to see, like, if you're a complete beginner, like Op 36 and PGA camps is like phenomenal. Like, put them in a camp for a week and see if they like it. And if they like it, continue with something else, maybe Op 36. And then when they get to a point where they're comfortable enough, maybe they can go on to step 2 with some confidence, which is PGA Junior League, where you're playing other courses, you're playing with others on a team. And then you and I, Frank, talked about this yesterday, Drive, Chip, and Putt. You know about Drive, Chip, and Putt more than I do. That's not for complete beginners, right? Drive, Chip, and Putt, you've got to kind of know what you're doing.
Well, that's a good observation. Drive, Chip, and Putt, in theory, is a complementary program, co-branded with the PGA of America, USGA, and Augusta National, and it's for everyone. So we hosted it at UNC Findlay, and you had a majority of the junior golfers that did it, the boys and girls ages 7 to 15, had played some golf, but we also had clubs there that people could borrow to use if they don't have their own clubs and they wanted to participate and take their 9 swings at it. So a lot of juniors obviously had some experience, but there are definitely some that are sort of getting started in the game as well.
And then I have no experience with Drive, Chip, and Putt other than bringing my boy once. Like, after Drive, Chip, and Putt, do the parents come to you and say, hey, we want to train for next year? What programs do you have? Is that typically what happens?
Yeah, I think Drive, Chip, and Putt is a great opportunity, like you said, along with PGA camps and other programming, where it's a complement to what you do at your facility. So in the Drive, Chip, Putts that we hosted at Findlay, we had a local qualifier years ago, pre-COVID. We had the largest local qualifier in the section. We had 248 juniors in one day. And we also had 100 and 125 at certain ones. But there's almost 20 local qualifiers here in the section, and then it leads into sub-regionals, and then the regional this year, which is in Tennessee. But it's you can let parents know about what's going on at your facility. Maybe you participate in Youth on Course. Maybe you do Op 36. Maybe you have golf camps coming up. Maybe you've got a high school or middle school golf team starting in the spring or the fall. So it's just a great avenue to bring people to your facility that maybe don't go. And there's so many different qualifiers in the section. You might get someone who has never been to your facility for, just based on the date selection that they choose.
Okay, perfect. And then as we go up the stairs, we've had experiences over the years. I guess just for those of you that are on this recording, this is just North Carolina. Frank and I are in North Carolina, southeastern United States. If you're in a different part of the country, it's certainly going to be different on what is available. But we used to have experiences where parents would come back and they'd say, I put my kid in a TYGA event or a US Kids event, and they'd never played golf before and they had a horrible experience. So us as coaches were like, man, we better get more organized on what we tell and advise our families to do, because we don't want them to get an experience where they have a miserable experience and don't want to come back. So we tried to create a stair step graphic for them that they could see. Is scoring less than 50 a requirement for them to play in a US Kids event or Peggy Kirk Bell or TYGA? Absolutely not. It's just a general recommendation. And it seems to be helpful for parents when we explain that to them. And then when they get good enough where they can beat let's call it 80 for 18 holes as a general rule of thumb, as a KPI, key performance indicator. Then maybe AJGA, USGA events, the Junior PGA Championships, the Hurricane Junior Golf Tour, and ADM does a wonderful job of covering all of these different stages that these players go through, from the beginner on the left all the way to the state champ on the right. And I think, Frank, like if you're LPGA, you can do PGA.coach training for ADM. You don't have to be just a PGA member. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So as an LPGA member, you can run a PGA Junior League team, and you also have access to PGA coach. Yep, sure.
Okay, perfect. And if anybody has any questions, I see 2 of them already in Q&A. If anybody has other ones, please put those in. Frank and I have like 2 more slides left, 3 more to get through, and then we'll open it up to Q&A. Timing, how do I do this? I think that's a question we get quite often. Frank mentioned some dates, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. I think we did an 8-week Junior League season last year, and that seemed to work pretty good. But if we looked at a calendar, Op 36 can be run 12 months out of the year. There are some facilities, the ones that we run in North Carolina and Virginia, where we run 12 months out of the year. Some facilities only run 8 weeks out of the year or 16 weeks. If you were to look at on a calendar, when Junior League, I believe, and this is what we did at Keith Hills, we ran Junior League last year, the end of April, May, June, July. It ended up being like 8 to 10 weeks, I believe. And then the national championship, I think, was in September. Is that right, Frank?
October this year. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just a little bit off on that. But,
Yep.
Yeah, and then this year it's in Frisco, which is pretty exciting to see. But if somebody was trying to look at this from a calendar perspective, and when is Junior League, when is Op 36? Op 36 is a little bit more flexible because you're running it at your facility and you can do it on your own timing. Whereas Junior League does a wonderful job of focusing as kind of a late spring, early summer, where you coordinate with the other courses. And what we found is like the comparison of saying Op 36 is like rec baseball is really helpful for a mom to grasp. And she goes, oh, it's like rec baseball. So we're preparing to play. And when we play at the same place all the time. Yeah, just like rec baseball here in Lillington. Like, we're not traveling to another baseball field to play. We're staying here. And then once we get good enough, then we're going to move to a different program where we can travel. And those of you that have been in travel baseball know that there's 3 divisions in travel baseball. I seem to think Junior League is like a D3, which is fantastic. It's kind of getting your feet wet and traveling. There's nothing like going out and playing. Like, we went up to Devil's Ridge and played last year, Frank, with the Junior League team in our first match. And then all the parents came up to me after and said, hey, let's go out to eat. We're going to go to Moe's as a team. And I'm like, gosh, that's a great idea. We've never done that in Op 36 because we've always just driven home after Op 36. So we ended up going to Moe's as a team. And that was kind of like our thing. After every Junior League match that we played, we went out to eat after, and it was really cool. It reminded me of when I played baseball, and we used to go to get ice cream after with the team. So I don't know if you've ever tried to use those comparisons in the past, Frank, but it was so easy for them to grasp that they start in step 1, they train for step 2, and then when they're there, it's a really cool experience where they have jerseys. You guys have hats and visors, I believe. Don't they have a choice?
Yeah, they've got a choice of headwear, either a hat or a visor. They get the 2 colored jerseys, bag tag, string bag, some other goodies. And I like your comparison here. It's like you said, there's definitely some questions out there about coordinating both of these together. How do I do it? What does the season look like? And I'm sure you see this as well, Ryan. It's amazing to me over the last 15 or 20 years, the number of young golfers that are playing or looking to play where maybe they don't have parents or grandparents that are golfers. So that's really a neat thing. And I think like your correlation here, so the parents can understand maybe how things potentially could work. But it's amazing to see and fun to see so many new golfers. When I was growing up, if your parents didn't play golf, you probably didn't play golf. It was such a familial thing, where now there's so much variety out there, and it's a great opportunity to get these junior golfers that maybe don't have the familial experience in golf.
I'll share with you, Frank, the having the national championship that you guys have is so powerful. Like our kids were so excited last year to learn at our parent meeting. We do a parent meeting before junior league starts for the year just to explain what's about to happen. Like you said, I try to find a parent that's going to be my volunteer coach to make sure that every group has snacks, make sure that there's a cooler with each group. And in that meeting, when I unveiled that there was a national championship that they could potentially work towards at some point in their career, maybe not this year, but as they got better, I mean, they were so excited, so focused. And that's just so cool that you guys have that. You have a national sponsor. Is it still National Car Rental?
Yeah, National Car Rental. And I have not been to the Junior League National Championship yet. This is my first year with this role, but I know the team at headquarters that have been going to Greyhawk and now will be in Frisco. They run an excellent event, and then the regional qualifiers as well throughout the country. But yeah, it's televised on ESPN. It's neat to see out there's I sort of attribute it to sort of like the Drive Chip finals on TV as well on that Sunday, right? I mean, it's so neat to see these younger people compete and play and show how good they are. It's so much fun.
All right. So to sign up, if there's a coach out there, Frank, that is not signed up as a junior league coach, can you walk through, you don't have to do like a deep dive, but like if they want to sign up as a coach, what would you advise them to do?
Sure, they can scan that barcode or the QR code there, or go to pgajrleague.com and register as a coach, become a coach, follow the prompts. You'll basically just start with the background screening and the abuse prevention training, background check, and then go from there. And it doesn't cost anything to register. You say what facility you're at, and you can go from there. And like you said, Ryan, we're here in the Carolinas, so we're looking at a mid-March timeframe to sort of get everything set up for the league formation. Now, if you're going to do your own league, like if you're a larger facility like Johnny Scott at Pine Hollow or Brian Burgwin at Prestonwood, and they have their own in-house league, in theory they could register whenever they wanted to. But if you're looking to have one team or two teams or a handful of kids upward, ideally registering by that mid-March timeframe. Like you said, other parts of the country, our friends down in Florida, they've already started that process, and up in New England, it's a different story. So every region and every part of the country is different. But yeah, just go to the website or scan that QR code to get started, follow the prompts, and your local player engagement consultant is right there if you need any help. Myself here in the Carolinas, or I'm also Tennessee, but there's 14 of us around the country that are here to help and support the golf professionals, PGA and LPGA, to help them sort of get the program going.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Frank, for that. And then on our end, we'll do a QR code too, just to copy you guys. So Frank had a QR code for Junior League. We've got a QR code for Op36. If you're interested, you can take a look at the program launch guide. We'll have some PGA members that will walk you through and see if it's a good fit. It's interesting when coaches reach out to us, sometimes we tell them they're not a good fit and they're surprised. And the thing that we've learned over the years in Op36 is you need to have the right facility, the right coach, for this to be successful long-term. We're not really looking for coaches to run Op36 just for 1 year and kind of drop it. We're trying to find, just like Junior League, facilities that will year after year grow the programs and grow the game of golf. So if you are interested in that, certainly take a look at that QR code. We'd love to chat with you. We've got some PGA professionals on staff to chat with you. And we are 33-minute mark. That was pretty good, Frank. So
good job. Yeah.
No, that was both of us here. And then we're going to go into some Q&A. It looks like there's 3 or 4 in there. If anybody has any other ones, as Frank and I answer these questions, please feel free to put those in there, and then we will try to answer them. Okay, let me try one. Jill Phillips. The cost to PGA professionals to become certified and go through Op36 training. Jill Phillips. Jill, thank you for that question. There's a very varied cost in Op36. There's a licensing fee if somebody wants to pay for the entire year up front. You can do it monthly, and you can also do it at a per participant rate as well. And that's coming out here pretty soon. So Jill, we'll grab your contact information. We'll reach out to you and see which option might work best for you on the Op36 side. So we'll answer that one. And then somebody raised their hand. Let me figure out how to do this. Mark Maddox. Mark, I've never done one of these, but I think I allowed you to talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Mark. Yep.
So I'm out in the Bridges in Rancho Santa Fe, California.
Okay.
They've had the licensing for the PGA for the Op 36 for about 2 or 3 years, and it's just been dormant. I've started and worked up in Rancho Carlsbad with Travis Hauser, and all that you guys are talking about with the Operation 36, we started with 15 kids. We've got over 100. All
Oh,
of that came from going through the Op 36. We created our own PGA Junior League with about 16 kids, 8 on my team, 8 on his, that played each other. We ended up having pizza parties, gave out prizes for Op 36 as they completed each section, and everything kind of fed into another. So all that you guys are talking about is exactly how I've personally witnessed it growing. But here at the club, this is a private facility. So I don't have an infinite number of kids. I probably have maybe 10 to 20 kids, and I'm trying to start the program back up here. One of my questions that I'm having and I'm trying to do is we've put together the 8-week program starting in mid-March.
okay.
I'm trying to think of, I've read some things that with the marketing with Op 36, that sometimes it takes 4 to 5 contacts for them to try to bring them to a point of joining it. So I'm trying to figure out as many ways in which I can advertise here within the community, within this club, to try and get as many kids as I can to just get it off the ground. I mean,
Sure.
in my conversations, 2 to 5 kids, just get it going and get it started, create a buzz. Hopefully it can grow from there. I have a summer camp here that they can go into. We've scheduled the PGA Junior Camp to end, and then 2 weeks going into summer camp, go back in the fall to Op 36. But any suggestions that you could give advertising and marketing, they've been kind of fickle in their commitment to different things here, and I'm just trying to overcome that challenge and get as many as I can and advertise it as best I can. Also, the ease of registration, I think the QR code, online registration in the golf shop, these are all things we did at Rancho Carlsbad to try and get as many as we could. But again, I don't have an unlimited number of kids. I'm going to probably have maybe 15 to 20.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate you mentioned that, Mark, the success that they've had, where you had 2 junior league teams and then also Op 36 going from 15 kids to over 100. At your current facility, my first instinct is to run a parent orientation, just so the parents can see your face, trust you, hear what you have to offer. I remember our first parent orientation we did here at Keith Hills in 2010. We had 20 families show up, and we had, I believe, 2 that signed up. And Matt and I were so excited to get 2, and we poured all of our effort and energy into those 2 kids for the next month or so. And then they started to tell their parent or their friends' parents, and before we knew it, we were from 2 to 10 to 20 to 40 to 80 to 100. And it just started with like getting the word out, which is sometimes the hardest thing to do, which I would then revert back to. You've got to have full support of the facility and the leadership at the facility in getting this communication out. Keith Hills was wonderful with us, allowing us to use their email database for their members, about 400 members, and their public database, which was about 4,000 people. And out of doing all of those marketing efforts, we had 2 that signed up at the beginning, which we were so ecstatic about. I would just say, one.
So we did have a launch party, a big pizza party. We had about 10 families show up. I would say there was probably 5 to 8 kids. I'm hoping to get 3 to 5 of them to initially sign up.
Yeah.
I've learned from working with Travis when we actually created a cloud for pictures. So when we went out and did the Op 36, when we went out and did PGA Junior League, we had family members taking pictures and creating a buzz, and then all of the families were able to look at the pictures. And I know once I get it off the ground how to create that. So we did have the launch party.
Yeah.
And I think we probably had 3 to 5. And I am meeting with the director of golf here in the next couple of days. And that was my thing as well. I wanted to make sure that I had support from the top. all the way down. I'm meeting with our marketing department to try to put out flyers and things throughout the club. So I'm trying to do those things to try and garner interest as much as I can.
No, I think you're doing all the right steps. And Travis is a great mentor and great, well, maybe not mentor, but colleague to have on this, because he knows the area better than we do. And
he's been very good about, I meet him we have little consultations about things and questions that I have, and he's been really good about helping me with that, trying to transition me over here to the Bridges.
No, that's great, Mark. I appreciate reaching out. I jotted down your name. I'll find your contact and reach out and continue to help with this. And I appreciate you speaking up and letting me know. And I would also say, like, if you do junior league this year and you have 8 or 10 kids, those are prime kids to say, hey, you had a great time in junior league this summer. Would you like to keep training this fall? Yeah, I do. Okay, what do you have? Well, we have an Op 36 program to keep it going if you're interested.
Yeah, and I think the goal that we sold this to the families was to try and put this together, and ultimately within 12 to 18 months have enough kids that we could field either 1 or 2 PGA Junior Leagues. If we could fill one, to compete locally. If not, and we had more, we could do what Travis and I did, and we could compete against each other the first time around, figure out, who the ones that are best qualified to go up to the next level, and then create a team from there.
I love it. I think, Mark, we'll talk before then, but I think if we talk a year from now, you're going to be doing fantastic, because it seems like you're doing all the right steps. I would just say, we'll reach out and continue the conversation. So I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Yep. All right. Okay. This is a good one here, Frank. How do you go about asking other clubs and coaches to join their PGA Junior League teams? How does that work, the selection process between the clubs and coaches for Junior League?
Sure. So, as you register, if you're looking to be a multi-facility in a multi-facility league, your player engagement consultant, the different person in your region there will work with the section that you're in to formulate the leagues. So a lot of times there's a lot of other facilities near you. Sometimes, depending on where you are, there's not someone really close to you. So that's where you could get on the horn and try and encourage some other golf professionals, PGA or LPGA in your proximity to try and play. So it's a great opportunity, and it's just depending on where you are and how many golf courses you have around you and what kind of programming they have in your vicinity there. But the player engagement consultant and the section that you're in would help formulate those leagues for the multi-facilities.
Okay, perfect. We got a couple more. I got 8 questions. That's pretty darn good, Frank. We must have done fairly well.
There you go.
TJ King's got some marketing advice and that he wanted to pass on, I think maybe to Mark, which is good. I allow golfers to invite their friends and play as guests. Members bring guests to play our facility. I treat kids the same way. They can invite up to 3 to join the league. So that's a pretty neat idea in terms of inviting friends to play at the facility and then also to join the league. I think he's referring to PGA Junior League.
Yeah, I've seen that in other facilities here in the Carolinas, especially. Bring a friend day for practice or for the match, and just like you said, just as the days go on and the practices go on, you'll be able to lend itself to have more people joining and creating the team.
Okay, perfect. And TJ, you had a couple other ones here. I've unmuted you, I think. If you did have anything else you wanted to add to that, TJ. And I do apologize. I'm not a whiz at.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Oh man, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had a microphone connected. It's the new computer system. I was just saying the launch party is a great idea. It's a great social event that we did to our members that I did last year, and also an end of the season event too. Doing that, wrapping things up, and awarding the kids that have come a long way, and even the kids that exceeded their expectations. So parents do like that spotlight.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, TJ. You said one of your notes here is make sure you have pizza. Is pizza key for these launch parties?
Man, it's the cheapest and easiest meal that I can find that get there the quickest. But man.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, TJ. Appreciate that. A couple nice thank yous here for doing this, Frank, which is great. Parents really like the team aspect of Junior League. What are some ways to give Op36 a similar team feel and focus less on individual success? That's a great question. And a lot of this has to do with the narrative that the coach communicates. If the coach communicates, hey, it's 36 or bust, then the atmosphere that you create at your facility is highly stressful, is highly competitive individually. Whereas if you communicate it as, hey, you're going out to the course to see how well you do against the course today, and everybody in your group is working together and helping each other to try to beat 36, and we want to see everybody beat 36. Let's see how you do. Average score when somebody goes out from 25 yards is a 48 if they've never played golf before. So when they do shoot that 48 and they come back, you would say you have two choices. One, gosh, you didn't beat 36 today, or hey, next time, what can we do one stroke better? So then you problem solve with the student. How can you get one stroke better? And they try to get down to 47, 46, and all the way down to 36. You just got to be very careful from a maturity standpoint that you don't have kids that are too young in your Op36 program. We've made that mistake before of having 5, 6-year-olds in the program. That's why the minimum age for our Op36 recommended is 7. If I could bump it up a little bit higher, I probably would to 8 or 9. But the maturity level of the student is pretty important to be able to deal with the individual stresses of trying to perform. But I tend to really lean into, this is a great opportunity to set a standard for them and have them reach for it. And they're not going to reach it every time. And it's a wonderful opportunity for you as a coach to guide them through overcoming obstacles, which is what they're going to have to do in their life. And it's an awesome opportunity to do that. Now, if it's too stressful for them individual to do that, or it gets too challenging for them, you could take a break. You could do a PGA Junior League for a season and then come back to Op36. We've done that before. We've changed caddies out before. A lot of this has to do with the coach's perspective. It takes, on average, you may have heard this before, others have too, once somebody gets to a challenging yardage, which means that it's taken them more than 10 attempts, it's going to take them over 19 attempts to beat 36. And if you as a coach after 10 attempts are going, gosh, I can't get this player to pass, what's wrong? There's nothing wrong. That's progress. And that's what it typically takes for them to roller coaster through ups and downs to beat the yardage. And like Frank, when you broke 80 for the first time, how long did it take you to do that? I wouldn't think it, like the first time you tried to do it, you did it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think for most of us that have played golf for a long time and grew up playing golf, it's a process, and there's so many more tools and data available now than when I started playing the game, or you did, Ryan. It's amazing. So yeah, as a younger golfer or an adult golfer, when we're teaching them, the level of expectation is really high, and it probably could be lessened a little bit to sort of understand that this game is not easy, and it takes perseverance, and it takes time, takes patience, and it takes that level of learning to sort of figure it out. But be able to get on the golf course and learn on the golf course in programming is a great level as well.
And one of the things that Frank and I might be able to touch on here as we end is parents. And the language that is used by the parents has a lot to do with what the child processes as acceptable and unacceptable. And Mike Hebron uses a wonderful word, which I love, which is called an unworkable outcome. And if a kid chunks a chip, or a kid blades a chip, or a kid has a rough round, what were some of your unworkable outcomes that didn't work today? And they go, well, I didn't chip good. And well, how can we make that a workable outcome? What do we need to work on? And Hebron's fantastic. He's a master PGA professional up in New York. I love listening to him, and he really does a great job of making sure the language that is used is positive, it's encouraging from the coach, but also the parents' end. Frank, I think I saw, and I apologize if I'm wrong, I thought you guys had a parents course or a parent education in PGA.coach.
They're very, I'm not from, there could be, I'm not 100% on that. I mean, I know when I was coaching PGA Junior League, we had a parent player meeting in the beginning of the season. And I also sent the parents sort of an FAQ and just also some guidelines as far as what is acceptable, some ways to be supportive. So I know on PGA Junior League, there's like a parent support article with some information. That's
Okay.
maybe where you saw it. So I know
Okay.
it's on there, but it gives some great information. And you're talking about the narrative of the coach. I think the narrative of the parent too is
Yes.
very helpful.
Yeah, I always find it entertaining. We can kind of end with this one is like when the dad goes over and he says, Frank, how could you 4-putt that? I always run over to the dad and I go, he's not trying to 4-putt. Like, like the kid isn't trying to top the ball. He's trying as best as he can to successfully do it. When you come in there and you put pressure on them as a parent, that is not enjoyable. That's why, go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, no, I was going to say we talked about ADM a few times today. There's some great YouTube ADM commercial videos on online with the parent and the kid, the junior golfer back and forth. I'm not sure if you've seen those, Ryan, but yeah, they're pretty eye-opening and pretty neat to view. And as a junior golfer or a parent to watch those, because my daughter's played on our PGA Junior League team, and it's eye-opening.
That's cool. Well, I certainly appreciate everybody being on. From an Op 36 side, this was awesome to go through how to use PGA Junior League, Op 36 together. We do have some resources on the back end of Op 36 for parents in terms of resources that we've got. Frank said on the PGA Junior League side, they've got some articles too to be helpful. But that is a topic that we need to continue to get better at in our industry, is educating the parents and supporting them and encouraging them, because they really do have the most important role, which I always say is to hug and love no matter what the score is. And if they ever get away from that and they're not supportive during the good and the bad, it's not a great experience. So anything that we can do to help the parents is really, really, really important for the child, which we all care about the most. So I certainly appreciate, Frank, your time and prep and being on this. Thank you for jumping on with me.
Well, thank you, Ryan. I appreciate everything you're doing to grow the game, and love to continue collaborating, and look forward for a great season of golf ahead.
Absolutely. We're signing off. Thank you, everybody. You'll get the recording through Zoom. Thank you so much. Have a great season.